Welcome back to another UFC fight prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting the prelim fights for UFC 256 Figueiredo versus Moreno. So without further ado, let's get to our first fight on the card and our first fight on the prelims. So in our first fight, we have in the featherweight division, Chase Hooper versus Peter Barrett. So looking at this fight right here, Barrett really doesn't bring a whole lot to this fight. When I looked at his striking, defense definitely was poor. Offense was kind of sloppy, so defense like almost non-existent. Offense pretty sloppy, but he got hard. He showed in the Law fight. He lost clearly, got dominated like every single round, but he showed hard in that one. Like he could take a good shot. He could be in there in a battle. And, like I said, he could take a lot of damage. He could power through, but really I'm not impressed by his striking, offensively or defensively. Not really impressed by his grappling. So we're looking at his fight against Chase Hooper, who's still a very young fighter. And his striking definitely isn't all the best. This could be a good matchup for him because you're going to go against a guy that, like I said, is not going to be there to, just lay down and give you an easy fight. But skill-wise, his skills just aren't there. As far as striking-wise, he might be the better striker between the two. But I feel like Hooper, if he just really put some focus to that striking after that Caceres loss, could easily pass him up. Because, like I said, Barrett's technique is not all that. I don't think it's going to improve any. In grappling, he has a huge advantage in the grappling. But I really see in this fight is like, competitive on the feet, but then Hooper eventually just taking it to his wheelhouse and dominating on the ground pretty much within 2 minutes of the first round, weathering him out, trying to go for some submissions, but Barrett like defending them decently and like being able to survive the submissions. And then pretty much early on in the second round, Hooper takes him down again, unloads on him, gets him to make a mistake, and then taps him out in that second round. So in this fight, I have Chase Hooper via second round submission. Now to our next fight we have in the heavyweight division, Sergey Spivak versus Jared Vanderaa. So look at this one right here. Really, when I'm looking at this one, I'm just looking at Vanderaa. I already know what Spivak brings. But when I look at Vanderaa, I'm not impressed at all. He's like barely passing heavyweight. That's all I really see. I don't see nothing really phenomenal about him. He's another one of the heavyweights that just, I don't know if he thinks this is mixed martial arts or not. It was like, his skill set's just not round at all. Like, he just got some basic striking and not even decent basic striking. He's a heavyweight. Got decent size, 6'4", but still built sloppy. I weigh like 6'3", 6'4", still built sloppy and fat. Like I said, striking is pretty basic, pretty telegraphed, pretty defense not the best. Like, he kind of throw a little jab. He lowers his head a little bit, but the hand that's not punching is still always low when he throws it. Doesn't really step off at an angle, just kind of goes forward with it. So it's like, I'm really not liking nothing about him at all. Like, I don't see nothing super impressed about his striking. Everything he throws is kind of wide. His jab's wide, long. Well, that could be a good thing, but you're not at an angle. It still leaves you, like, what I'm saying, the issue with that is that when it's not thrown at an angle, you're still open to be countered. Especially when your hand's down like that, he throws it. His check hook's super wide. Like, everything he literally does is like amateurish and like super wide and not really short and crisp. That's really all I'm gonna get. If all you got is striking, it's not crisp or super effective or super powerful, then what really do you have? And what he has is really nothing. I mean, he can fight for some rounds and stuff, but also another thing, his footwork, as far as MMA awareness of the ring, he's easily to get put against the cage because he doesn't circle. He doesn't not aware that his distance from the cage, so he don't circle off, so he's not getting easily put up the cage. So pretty much anytime you want to, you could initiate a clinch and pin him against the cage. So if he's going against a decent grappler or somebody that's wanting to wall and stall him, it'd be an easy fight for somebody to do. Like, Randy Couture could come out of his grave, even though he's not dead or nothing, and easily put his man against the cage at will, instantly. Or really anybody, even some bum, because he really lost a fight where this guy would literally put him against the cage every single round for like at least 2-3 minutes. And then with the fifth round, I think the guy rolled for like a Kimura or something happened, but it ended in a Kimura and the fight was over. So his submissions garbage. I mean, his submission defense garbage, his grappling garbage, his footwork garbage, striking defense garbage. Overall, not really impressed by anything Vanderaa brings. And Spivak, I wasn't super impressed when he came to UFC, but he's been making improvements in his grappling. But at least he looked the part. And also, this guy went to a decision victory over Tony Lopez in 2019. You're basically fighting a grandfather, and you're taking him to decision. Where Spivak at least made him look like a grandfather. So I wasn't impressed with Spivak beating Tony Lopez back in 2016 or 14 or whatever. But either way, Spivak looks much cleaner, much crisper. and now he has that UFC experience. I think he had like one loss in UFC. Like now he had like 2 wins in UFC. Vanderaa has not really fought anybody of UFC caliber. He fought guys that used to be in the UFC, but nobody that's actually UFC caliber at this point, and hasn't looked super amazing beating him either. So really, just gonna leave Spivak all this way. I think he can out grab him if he wanted to an easy decision, or I think he can out strike him. And I think he'll do both, mix up the takedowns, mix some striking. And I think he puts some weight in that first round, probably pressures him, starts to land on him, crack him, then take him down, and then just well on him until the ref pulls him off. So in this fight, I got Sergey Spivak via first round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in the women's strawweight division, Tecia Torres versus Sam Hughes. So she got basically a man's name, but that's irrelevant to the prediction. So looking at this fight, it's kind of similar to the last fight in a way, as far as my prediction for the last fight or the prior fight I just predicted. But Sam Hughes, she has a bit of height on her. She's 5'5" versus Tecia Torres, who's 5'1", and known as the Tiny Tornado. So pretty much every single fight she's in, she's smaller than everyone. I can't think of a single fight she was taller than somebody except for her last fight. But I think all that's irrelevant as far as the height thing. When I look at Sam Hughes, she's aggressive but very predictable, very repetitive, and she's slow. And for her being that repetitive, she doesn't have the most power either. She has some okay grappling, but really everything about her, all her stats are far less than the average skill level that Tecia Torres has been dealing with. Like striking wise, Tecia Torres has been in there with Joanna. I think she's been in there with Weili Zhang. She's been in there with like a whole rack of world class strikers. A whole rack of world class. So I already said two of the champions of this weight class, Joanna and Zhang. That's all you need to hear right here. She's been in there with those. So that's 2 of the better strikers, 2 of the better fighters, period, in this weight class, and 2 of the better fighters in women's MMA history, period, right there. So that's to show you the level. Like, and what that Hughes really done. She's still like green. And then you want to look at her skill set. She doesn't present nothing. Her speed is slow. Her power is not really there. Technique's not all that amazing. Like I said, slow, repetitive. She gonna have a little bit of height on her against Tecia Torres, but Tecia Torres is shorter than everybody. And also in Tecia Torres' last fight, she showed like kind of the old Tecia Torres in her last fight. Got taken down a little bit, but then she started defending well. And then started really unload and explode and finding her angles and finding her moments and finding her pockets to unload and start, having her little blitzes that, made her a standout in this division and made her one of the better prospects at one point in this division years back. But either way, like I said, more so the point is that Sam Hughes presents nothing that Tecia Torres has not dealt with before. And Tecia Torres is a far better striker, far sharper, far faster, far bigger arsenal, and this far better striking IQ, fight IQ. I think Tecia Torres can out-grapple her if she wants to. I think Tecia Torres can out-strike her. And Tecia Torres can out-smart her. And Tecia Torres, I just think in this fight, she just outworks her in every single area. Just blitzing her, mixing the takedowns, bullying her around in the clinch. And like I said, just outpoint her and just being ahead, like 2 or 3 steps ahead this whole fight, and just leading this dance from start to finish, and just looking and showing that there's levels to this game from start to finish. So in this fight, I have Tecia Torres via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the featherweight division, Billy Quarantillo versus Gavin Tucker. So you got 2 solid fighters right here. Gavin Tucker only has 1 loss, and I think he took some time off after that loss. Then he kind of came back. He's on a 2-fight win streak, 2-fight submission streak. So been looking pretty decent. He did get dropped against Justin James. He did rally back and put on show his skills and show his well-roundedness and show the improvements and the wrinkles in his game. And they would get a nice submission and put on an amazing performance in that loss. I mean, not in that loss, but in that victory and that comeback from behind after that first round. But either way. But yeah, so kudos to Tucker for that performance, and kudos for him to come back off that, just refine himself and re-improve and come back and, like I said, get on a 2-fight win streak. But look at this fight right here against Quarantillo. He's going to have a lot of the disadvantage. I think Quarantillo strike output and landing, like matter of fact, his strikes landed is like more than twice as much as Tucker's. He has a 4-inch height advantage at 5'10" versus the 5'6" Tucker. He has a 4-inch reach advantage at 70-inch reach versus the 66-inch reach of Tucker. So we have a 4-inch height advantage, a 4-inch reach advantage, and I think he's like 2 years younger. So another thing, Quarantillo is coming down from 155 to 145. So he'll be the taller, longer, larger, younger man. And the better grappler, in my opinion. So people have their own opinions about whatnot, like, because of this guy's a better grappler, or this because of that, this guy's a better grappler. But Quarantillo's undefeated in UFC, which has nothing to do with his grappling, but I mean, as far as that don't say nothing just by saying simply the fact that he's undefeated in UFC. But from what I've seen against level of competition he went against and who he's fought and how he implemented his grappling. And also, you probably look at the stats. The stats also show that he's the better grappler, but like I said, people have their own opinions. They can say, oh, this guy did this or did that. But in my opinion, Quarantillo's the better grappler. I think in most people's opinion, they're going to say, oh, Quarantillo is the better grappler. Is it by like a landslide? No, but I think it's significant enough to note. Then striking wise, I'll say Tucker's definitely the better boxer between the two. But I think, like I said, along with the height, the reach, the size, and the power of Quarantillo, and Tucker not really been a knockout artist, especially not in the UFC, or a power puncher in the UFC. I think that's really going to favor Quarantillo. Like I said, Tucker will have the boxing, but I think the grappling is going to be a big factor in this fight, and that's what's going to lean to Quarantillo. Striking wise, outside of boxing, I don't think they're that far apart. And then you're going to have to factor in the reach of Quarantillo, in the height of Quarantillo, in his size, in the power, and that little edge that Tucker might, or that edge, or whatever edge he has in any part of striking, or in boxing particularly, is not going to overfactor the other factors, the height and the reach, the power, the size, the activity of Quarantillo, and also with the fact that Tucker is not really a knockout artist or a power puncher in the UFC. He's not. So I feel like Quarantillo is going to be bigger, he's going to be stronger, and he's going to be landing the heavier blows and mixing those takedowns and piling up points against Tucker. I don't think he stops Tucker, even though Tucker does have a questionable chin and questionable cardio. Well, his cardio is not that questionable, but well, yeah, Tucker's cardio is not questionable, but Quarantillo, there is no questions about his cardio. Quarantillo has heart, he has will, he's never welded, he's a workman for sure. He's not a guy that's going to like break. He's a guy that's going to be able to work from the first bell to the final bell. It's non-stop. He's one of those people. So Quarantillo, if you see who can have to grind deeper or dig deeper, Quarantillo's going to have those different, bit of dig further. So definitely give him the cardio and the pace to Quarantillo. Like I said, he's going to be the bigger, larger man. He's going to use that to his advantage, mixing takedowns, fight a high pace. And I'll work Tucker in this one. Like, get the takedowns, get the control time, land the heavy shots, put up more volume, and beat Tucker to a decision. So, in this fight, I have Billy Quarantillo via decision. Now to our co-prelim headliner, our next prelim fight we have in the women's strawweight division, Mackenzie Dern versus Verna Jandiroba. So, looking at the odds right now, Mackenzie Dern is a decent enough favorite. She's not no big, massive, whopping favorite, but she is a decent enough favorite that a lot of people are leaning to Dern. It's not like it's a 50-50 fight. It's kind of like a, 65-35 fight, or on a 60-40 right now. I think the odds are looking like for Dern. But really looking deeper, look at Dern's last 2 wins. In both those fights, she wasn't looking all that great in those fights. And I kind of said the same thing twice. I had like a little glitch right there. But either way, she wasn't looking all that great in those fights. And Hannah Cifers fight, she couldn't get Hannah. She struggled to get Hannah. Matter of fact, she tried to get a takedown on Hannah Cifers and struggled, or she tried to get takedowns on Hannah Cifers and struggled. Was getting outstruck. I think she even got her nose bust or something. I remember her getting reddened up at one point. Not like a whole lot, but like something. She got touched. It wasn't no big shot, but she got touched. I think it was like a jab. But either way, she was struggling very hard to get a takedown on Cifers and couldn't get a takedown. The only reason she was able to get submission on Cifers because Cifers' fight IQ went negative 1,000, and she decided to see pretty much Mackenzie Dern on her back, and she's gonna try to punch her in the face on the while like Mackenzie Dern is on her back. She's gonna try to punch Mackenzie Dern and pretty much go right near her and let Mackenzie Dern just wrap her legs around her leg and do her jiu-jitsu and tap her out. So when she should have just let Mackenzie Dern stand up and just kept outstriking her instead of allowing a grappler, a championship grappler, multiple time championship grappler, be able to grapple with you. Like, should have kept just manhandling her and pushing her off and just kept outstriking her. But for that reason, she's gonna see her on the ground and try to punch her in the face multiple times. She even had like multiple times to get away. She could have do one punch, got her one punch off, and it's like, oh, now stand up. But now she's gonna try to hover over top of her, trying to find those big shots. And that allowed Mackenzie Dern to get her leg, and all she wrote. That was very dumb of her. And then the other fight, Randa Marcos, I don't think nobody really was doing much in that fight. It was, like I said, these were both first round finishes, but Randa Marcos was like, not a lot happening in the fight, but Mackenzie Dern definitely wasn't getting much off. Randa Marcos might have been getting off just a little bit more on the feet. But then I think it was like a scramble or something. I think actually even though it's not listed as takedown, I believe Marcos took her down. It was definitely Marcos coming down on top and then being in, because Dern didn't pull guard. I think she either slipped and then Miranda Marcos went into her guard or dived in. And then that initiated a grab exchange. It wasn't because because of Mackenzie Dern getting the takedown or showing such improvements in her wrestling or her takedown offense. It was because, again, her opponent took it to the ground, basically, or pretty much created an opportunity for Dern to grapple. And now, really looking into Dern's stats, she has a 7% offensive takedown rate. 7%. That's probably the lowest in UFC history, or at least by notable fighters, among notable fighters. 7% takedown accuracy. 7%. That's beyond mediocre. 7%. And I think her takedown defense is at 0%, so, or roughly around that. But 7%, that's terrible. That just showed you, like, if she wants to get the fight to the ground, it's highly unlikely that she's not going to get it to the ground. Now she's going to get Jandiroba, who's a better striker, a more well-rounded fighter, more experienced fighter, not BJJ-wise, but fighter. Definitely Dern is the better grappler. Definitely better, more accomplished BJJ player, but this is MMA, and it's more about the full fight. And Jandiroba has more experience in MMA than Dern. Almost twice as much experience as Dern. Been in there with better competition than Dern. And I said more well-rounded than Dern. Better striking. Definitely not better BJJ, but probably more physically strong fighter. And she probably can have her own being a credible black belt in her own right. She probably can neutralize, see what a lot of what Dern was doing on the ground is those other fighters who weren't BJJ black belts like Marcos or Cyphers couldn't see, and they got caught and stuff. She could see what Dern is doing and probably defend it. She don't have to go out there and just purely grapple with her. She could just stuff all her takedowns. Like I said, Jandiroba was tough. She got a good takedown defense. She got high level grappling as well. And you're going to get Dern, who's, for the most part, one-dimensional. She might got a sloppy overhand right in her that might pack some power at times, but outside of that, really ain't got much at all on the feet. And it's got to hope in that her opponent takes her to the ground. And I don't think Jandiroba is going to really play into her game. And if she does take her down, she's going to be able to at least be able to see what Dern is doing and be able to defend much better and just control the top position. And on the feet, I think Dern is, for the most part, easy pickers on the feet. So I just seen this one, Jandiroba just dictating the pace of this fight. Because Dern is looking for opportunities to, for somebody to grapple with her. Jandiroba can be the one deciding when she wants to grapple. Instead of, like I said, Dern's offensive takedown rate is 7% accuracy. That's mediocre. So her getting a takedown is almost next to none in this fight. She might get a chance for a scramble at times, but either way, which might open up opportunities. But for the most part, I think, like I said, Jandiroba is going to be defending takedown, deciding when she wants this fight to go to ground, or when she wants to in the clinch, or when she wants to strike. And when you're relying so much on someone else to, give you opportunities, it just don't pan out that well, especially in the higher level. Like, it's all about creating opportunities and finding ways to take advantage of opportunities. And if you have a 7% takedown accuracy, you just can't create those opportunities. So I see, like I said, Jandiroba controlling it, being a stronger fighter, being a more experienced fighter, outstriking Dern, and at times mixing in takedown just to give her different looks, and then being able to neutralize a lot of Dern's grappling and beating her to a decision. So in this fight, I have Verna Jandiroba via decision. Now to our prelim headliner, we have in the featherweight division, Cub Swanson versus Daniel Pineda. So look at this one right here. I think Daniel Pineda came in he was in the UFC for a good period of time, or for a little period of time. Didn't have the best run. And now he kind of had some years outside of UFC and, got on some bit of steam. And also along that steam, he tested positive twice in the last two fights before getting back to the UFC. And he came in and beat Herbert Burns. Came in and for the prospect, he was a big underdog and came out there and put the favorite away. So all props to him, but going against Cub Swanson, I think he's going to lose this one. That's straight out. I think he's going to lose this one. I think Herbert Burns' striking wasn't all the most technical. He was very strong, powerful, solid grappling, but pretty green overall as the MMA game goes. Whereas Cub Swanson, not as powerful, definitely not as young, but another crafty veteran who was a black belt in BJJ. He got experience to more than match Pineda. Matter of fact, way more experience than Pineda. Well, not really good. As far as resume-wise, record-wise, it's kind of similar, but because Swanson has been at the top of the UFC game for a while, was at the top of the WEC game for a while, so even though their records, matter of fact, I think Pineda has more fights, because Swanson has more relevant fights than Pineda. It has been actual relevant more than Pineda, because Pineda right now and just getting his real first taste of relevancy and some of that relevancy in PFL. But other than that, that's why I'm going with that. But as far as this, I feel like Cus Swanson, basically at this point, Pineda's grappling is going to be an issue. But striking wise, I think this is all Cus Swanson. I think he's much faster, much sharper, packs much more power. Definitely a much crisper striker, much more creative, the better boxer, for sure. So that's Swanson's game all day. Grappling wise, Pineda can be an issue, but Swanson just won against what's his name? Kron Gracie. So he's been in there with a high level grappler just in his last fight and pulled off a victory. So I don't think Pineda's grappling will be different. It's more so be the fact that Pineda's MMA experience along with his grappling more so than his pure BJJ. But I don't think, like I said, I don't think Pineda's grappling will be too big an issue. It could be more so like maybe trying to take him down and control some time on him. But I feel like Swanson should be able to defend most of his takedowns, should be able to get back to his feet, and then keep it to a striking matchup where he'll have the advantage and outland Pineda on the feet. And I actually think he's able to start to rip him to the body, take away from that gas tank, and then put him away early in that third round. So in this fight, I have Cus Swanson via third round TKO. And that concludes my fight predictions for the prelims of UFC 256 Figueiredo versus Moreno. And as always, thanks for watching.